All right. How's it going, everybody? This is Awais back with another live stream. So today we continue working on our expense tracker project. I'm going to be doing some research around RxJS. Also, going to be working on Google Firebase. So yeah, welcome to the live stream. If you have any question, you can paste a message in the chat. And yeah, welcome. Uh, so basically, I've got this app running in an emulator. If I click on a login, it should take us back to the apps page. Count, logout should go back to the login page. Yeah, we're going to be using some Firebase stuff. And here I've got a browser open, which I will use for all the documentation. I'm actually going to bring this to this screen. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna put it on the side by side so I could actually see everything here. That's better. And I can switch to Python and I can switch to Chrome easily. So it's gonna help us to actually do some multitasking. We're gonna be using this doc theme. I use this extension called doc reader. It's really good to actually have a Docker kind of theme, and then it's less effective on your eyes. All right. Akhil, hello, mate. How are you? Welcome to the live stream. So, open up few things here. So, okay. So, what is an agenda for this live stream? Basically, we're gonna continue with our authentication system using Firebase. So here is the Firebase documentation. I'm also going to go to Firebase console. So let's go to Firebase console. All right. Gonna go to the console. Now, just to show you guys, basically you can create a free project. I'll give you some credentials that you'll need to paste into your environment.ts file. And I'm gonna go to okay. Right, so we got one user test one at Gmail. And for the debugging, I'm gonna go to Chrome and let's go to Chrome inspect. Okay, here I should be able to see the emulator, so I could just use the debugger there. So there you go, got a emulator here. I'm gonna click on inspect, and it's going to open up this window. Okay, which we can actually use to do our debugging. But let me just align that here, and this will have like this. Okay, all right, that's better. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, So we can switch back, and I'm gonna just close this bit. For debugger, I would like to move this above here. I'm just gonna set up some shortcut keys. So here I can switch to Chrome, Python, and then the debugger. Okay, so we're all set. We're good to go. Now let's do some development. Here I've got this login page, which we are going to go here. Okay. Now let's do one more thing here. I'm gonna start the debugger. Actually, I don't need to start the debugger. I'll just use the Chrome to debug my application. All right, so here we're gonna do a bit of modification to our login. We're using this auth service, login with email and password. Once we log in, we navigate to tabs, get rid of this line. And then if I go to this function, it returns the boolean once the navigation is done. So if the navigation is done, then if it comes true, then we say successfully logged in. If it's not, then we can say login failed. So let's verify that. I'll just do a debugger here before doing anything. I'm just gonna do a debugger, and let's just add. Okay, so it says user not logged in. That's good. If I click on login, it's gonna go to the debugger, and here we can see we successfully logged in. If I look at the log console, it doesn't show anything for now, but let's just continue, and there you go. We successfully logged in, and in the console, we should be seeing an object for the user with the token, and it says successfully logged in. That's good. That function is working. So let's get rid of this debugger. Now, another thing I would like to show you guys is this file, app routing module. So here you see we're using this auth code, where basically, but even though I log in, I want to make sure that I have that properly. I've done the checks that if the user is actually logged in. So if I go to auth code, and here is some of the code that I've written. So basically, we check for auth service. We got the user object observable there. We pipe it. So just count one, and then if there is a user. So what I'm going to do here is let's just do a debugger here as well. So do something like this and do user. And I'm gonna do debugger here. And I'm going to do user. Okay. Now let's open up our log there. Here we got this can activate. It's checking. And we got the user back. So that means there's a user there. And then we can basically log this. So let's just click on here. It's not gonna go to tabs page, even though the user is there, because it didn't return true. So to return true, we're gonna do same thing here. We're just gonna have to return to say user. Okay, let's see what happens now. There you go. Now, because we were logged in, it's going to go directly to the tabs page. If I go to account, I'll click on log out, and I'll refresh my application. Refresh there. And it still goes to a login page. Now, a couple of things that we see there's some errors happening here. We're gonna have to fix those. But now let's go to okay. Now this is looking good. And also the tab function, it checks whether if it's logged in or not logged in. So we can do something like a debugger there to just see what's going on. All right, there's a debugger. So it says false user is not logged in because the user was undefined. Okay, that's good. Our RxJS is doing what it's supposed to do. There's a problem with the capacitor runtime. We'll figure this out later. But yeah, things looking good. Let's get rid of this debugger. Now, another thing I would like to show you here is in our auth service. So here I've got the auth service. We got this user observable, and here I'm making that this user is equal to this.file auth state. So whatever the auth state is, then we can switch map it, and if the user exists, then we say user logged in, and then we return the user. Otherwise, we just return a null. Okay, so that's something that basically every time that our application loads, it's going to check for the user. If the user is there, then it's going to keep the user stored into this particular variable, which is an observable there. So that's good. I'm going to click on the login page and we go here. Now in this tutorial or live stream, what I'm going to try doing is I'm going to try storing the data in RxJS. So let's go to Chrome, and here we see we have a user there. And I'm going to go to a database. Um, okay, so we got this cloud Firestore. If you don't know about this, this is like a real-time database, which is kind of free to start with, but it can get expensive when you have like a lot of users for your application. So I'm going to be using this cloud Firestore. So as you can see, real-time updates, powerful queries, and automatic scaling. So that's good. We have a database, whereas this one, real-time database, and we got the Firestore. So I'm going to click on create database. And here it's asking me if I want to secure the database for now, or we can start with the test mode. So yeah, so it says anyone with your database reference will be able to read or write to your database for 30 days. That's good. If I click here, it says after you define your data structure, you will need to write rules to secure your data. Okay, that's good. I'm going to be using this start in test mode for now. Click on next. And then after you set this location, you cannot change this letter. Also, location will be set. Okay, I'm just going to probably go to Asia because I'm in Australia. I'm gonna find Australia South East one. That seems to be the closest one for me. I'm gonna use this one. Done. It's creating your provisioning cloud Firestore. So for now, that's fine. Now let's go to the documentation. So I'm gonna go to authentication. We go to the web, and here a few of the topics that I would like to share with you guys. If you are working on the mobile app using this Firebase as your backend service, so it's pretty easy. All you gotta look at is the get started Firebase authentication. You basically set up a new user by calling this function, create user with email, and that's what we're doing. If we go to auth service, I think I'm in the auth service. So here I've got a few functions which return promise. So basically, register user. So use this.fireauth, create user with email password. To be able to, okay, here you go, guys. We got the database done. We got the rules, which is like a test mode. Anybody can use this bit and look at the usage. It's been a while since I actually used Firebase, so I'm actually learning on the go. Try to look at the documentation, and it probably will help you guys as well to follow along, because I mean, if you start with new technology, a lot of times people don't know how to go and learn more about it. So here's our expense. So I'm gonna click on start collection, and I'm gonna create a collection. So let's see, what is a collection? A collection is a set of documents that contains data. Okay, that makes sense. Example is users would contain a unique document of each user. So let's create users. Click on next. And now here we have a document path. I'm gonna say auto ID. Okay. So say a collection must contain at least one document. Cloud Firestore unit of the storage, use an auto-generated ID or email, a custom ID if needed. Okay. All right. So it requires at least one. So I'm gonna just have a one ID, and I'm gonna name test one. Type is string. A value can be let's just say test1@gmail.com. Click on save, and we should have our user collection here. Okay, we actually started. I just wanted to know, guys, if anybody could tell me if the quality of the stream is good enough so you guys could follow along. All right, I'm gonna get rid of some of the code here. Get rid of this code, and things looking good. All right, first of all, let's go to auth service and see what's going on here. Now, if we get the user, I want to be able to store that user into let me just go here and open some third-party software here. So open up okay, Angular Firebase. Right, so the package that I'm using is Angular Fire. It has some information. How do we query users, or how we query the data? There you go. Got this bit. I'm gonna keep that handy so I could just go ahead and read more about these things. All right, so far we have one document. I'm gonna go to PyCharm and see here we got this user. I'm trying to find a way to, when I create a user, I would like to write that user to that particular database. So how do we do that? Well, let's figure out how do we do that. So okay, so here we create user. We got an Angular Firestore package. Then we say this the item, and then we say we have created a collection. That's a collection, and that's a document. So we'll go back. I'm gonna go to some of the tutorials that I could probably look up online. All right, I got a collection. Hello. There's a lot of options here. So I'm going to try accessing the collection first. So here, once we have a user, we want to make sure that we store that into that particular thing. So first of all, let's bring in private Firestore. So we create an observable. Got Angular Firestore coming from. Okay, that's good. And let's write that user there. So I'm gonna create just a test. I'm going to create a private Mm, mm. So far, my experience with with Firebase is okay. I'm just trying to figure out a few things. How do we add data to collection? So if I'm able to connect to that particular thing, I want to create a function here. So I'll say add user to user collection, right? So for the function, we can just say user, and we're just gonna set the type for now. You know, so this dot user collection dot add, and add a user there, and we're just gonna do a wait there. Okay, now let's open up a log, and here we getting the log from here in the user. Also, I would like to do a log from. So here we got another thing. Let's go and fix this page. So I'm going to go to the dashboard page. There's a lot of logs that are unnecessary there. We don't really need those logs there. So here, I guess, where's the data? So ng after reviews. I'm going to go to this one. I don't need to do anything here. So for now, let's just leave that empty. Now we shouldn't see that log there. Okay, so still logged in, and I want to see whether I can get some data from my users collection. So to be able to get the data, I'm going to go to auth service. Actually, on the dashboard page. Right. Let's do console.log. I'm going to set this dot users. Let's see what we get in that. So we got an observable there, and that's what I think we got there. All right, so let's do a subscription. Let's do a subscription there. I'm gonna say this dot users dot subscribe, and what are the value that we get? We're just gonna do log for now. Well, let's take a look. There you go. So we're getting the data back. So that's good. That's good. As you guys can see, we got the data back after the subscription. So now what I want to do here is I would like to be able to store the user whenever the new user signs up into the application. So that's going to be the agenda. THG random, hey mate, how are you? I'm building this application. Basically time to time when I get, some time, I just go and start working on some of the project. So here, this is an application. You can find, if I would show you guys a couple of things here. If you go to YouTube, you go to one of my playlists. This is a playlist that I've created. So there's about 16 videos where I created this whole expense tracker application using the local storage. But now I'm adding functionality like authentication system using Google Firebase. Also using Google Firestore data to actually store the data there. So yeah, check it out. Let me know if you like it. Okay, so now basically we got some sort of data here I would like to be able to store some data so I could actually add users there. I'm gonna go and bring my Chrome here. There was some documentation that I was looking at. So here's a package, Angular file auth. And here we got one user. I'm going to delete this. Oh, not the collection, but I want to be able to delete this. Okay. So how do we delete this? Let's figure out. So streaming collection data, that's good with the value changes function. We don't want to do that. So other collection value changes, add item. We could actually have an example. How do we remove item? All right, so the original documentation for that is here. We will take a look at that later. But let's basically try to add a functionality where we could actually add a user here. So I'm going to get rid of this document. Okay, so there's no document now. And I want to be able to create a function where when I log in to the user, I should be able to create and store that user into particular collection. So here I've created that bit. Also, we have this user interface, and I want to be able to store a few other things. So if I go to, I'm gonna take the debug on the left screen, so I could create uh, an interface there. Also, into our code, I want to create an interface there. So we created the auth module. I'm going to create a directory there. Interface, and I want to create a TypeScript file there. I'll say user interface. And let's go to the auth, and I'm going to cut from here and I'm going to paste that there. So now in terms of a user, you guys probably see here's a debugger. So here I'm getting the user object. So here I'm going to find a keys that I want to store into our database. I'm going to put this on a second screen, guys, so I could see on the right screen, I could create this interface. The first thing what we need to store is user ID, which is like a unique for every user when you create that. So that's what we want to store. Also want to be able to store their email, a photo URL, actually the email, and also photo URL. That's not optional. And then we've got some provided data there as well. Okay. Another thing would be phone number. That becomes a string as well. And then display name is there. That's good. That's good. Also, we don't need this token there. User token, no. Email. Now we can say if email verified. And that would be type of Boolean. There are a lot of okay, let me that's a bit weird. Let me just put it aside. So we got the phone number there. We got the user ID there. Got is anonymous. Yeah, I probably want to store that as well. And an email. So we'll just do is I want to grab spelling from there. Let's copy and paste that there. It's hard, mate. It's hard to get started. Once you know what you're doing, then yeah, it's okay. Now we're getting this user interface problem. Now I'm gonna do Alt Enter, and it's gonna say add import. So it will import from there. Okay, that's good. Now, right, let's check out our user collection. Refresh, and we don't have this user. Now, if I go log out, I should be able to see some pretty weird error because the logout function shouldn't work because there's no user there. Right, so let's go back to the code, and I'm gonna go to register page. So here we are registering. Okay, so let's go to register component. Here we got the form, and I would like to create a user service now. So here we go interface. I'm gonna go to user, and here we got this user service. So this is what I'm gonna utilize to actually have a user state. So this bit is going to grab a few things from auth survey. So here we got this users, actually this one, user variable. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna actually open this side by side. And I'm gonna open up our user service here. Right, so here I would like to first of all move users, and we're gonna create an observable, and that would be type of user interface. Okay, and then inside the constructor function, I would like to add, first of all, we need Firestore. Now I'm gonna be like using a convention just to, have a straightforward words for, Firebase. Yep, Firestore, then we Angular fire. That's one thing we need. I'm not sure why I did Lodash, but for now, let's not worry about that. Also, I need Firestore. Or just Angular Firestore. Okay, but now that's good enough. And in the constructor function, every time this user service initialized, I'm gonna do this dot users. It shouldn't be users, it's a user. And when I use this dollar symbol, and that would be this dot user, and I'm going to set that equal to similarly this dot while auth, and here we got the state. So auth state is, that's what we're looking at, right? It's going to return the user or null. I'm going to go and do auth state. I'm going to pipe that first. So within the pipe function, we are going to grab the data from the auth state. So for now, let's just do, for example, we use the switch map function. Now inside this, it's going to take a project, which we can say it's just a user. And then for the return type, I'm going to specifically say user, which is coming from a Firebase. This one, that's a Firebase user, or it's going to return null. Now inside the switch map, first of all, we can say if there's a user, then first of all, let's log the data. and log the user and say user is logged in. And then we can just return an observable of a user. I would like to do a bit of research on this. I've seen some better way to handle this bit. I think that should be fine. Um, okay, so now it's returning a user, and now we're gonna do else. If there is nothing, then we can return an observable of null. And then it needs an import, so I'll just do an import. And then there you go. So now we got this user service, which is responsible for having a state for a current user. There's a problem here. What is it? So you've got this observable type user is not a observable. Okay, that's okay. Right. So this is not going to be the user interface. It's going to be an interface of user coming from Firebase, and that error should go away now. Also, when we add this Firestore, okay, so basically we want to make sure that whenever we create a new user, we create a new object from a user and then store that into a particular collection. Currently in our authentication service, we got this user there, right? And I'm gonna get rid of that from there. Once we finish all this bit. Login, register, log out, initialized. All right, so let's get rid of this bit here, and we're gonna just get rid of this user collection. But first, let's do a variable there. So I'm gonna, this is the user, and then we are going to write that user into particular, collection. So the way we can do it, we can do users. I'm gonna use this users collection, use a dollar symbol to have that particular file. That would be an observable, I guess. And then this is time it's gonna do a user interface. This bit. Okay. Now we got this okay. Now we are going to I think we are actually causing an issue here, because if we keep the user service apart from our auth service, that probably doesn't really add any benefit. It's just like if you call auth service, or if you want to call a user service. But for me, it's like I will probably keep the user state there, and then I'll add some database service, which basically be helpful to add that particular user into the collection. So let's get rid of this bit from here. Okay. And now we're gonna get rid of this user's collection as well. So what are we doing next? Now there are probably an errors here. It says cannot read a type of undefined into auth guard, which is here. That's probably the can activate function. We're gonna have to fix that. Let's go to the code and go to the auth. Now here, it's not gonna come from auth service, but it's gonna come from user service. So let's get rid of this auth service from here. Stories, no, let's close that for now. Private, we can say auth service. So that would be no auth service, actually user service, and we can add user service there. Then here we accessing this user service instead of auth service there. And that should get rid of that error for us. It should start working again. It should go to login page. So there's another error, it says router. We got auth card, user service, users pipe, take one map, users blah. All right, so the problem is the user doesn't exist. So what we want to do there is okay, I got it. Hmm. So I don't know what am I gonna do with the modularizing between the two place. But for now, I'm gonna go to terminal. Actually, I'm gonna go to find an action. I'm gonna say stop. Stop our live Android, I guess. Actually, stop this and also stop our Ionic server as well. I'm gonna try taking a break, guys, for like 10 minutes. So let's say clock. That's the time, so I will say clock timer online. So here's gonna be 5 minutes. I'm just going to take a break for like 10 minutes there. Let's just say start. Yes, I'm back. So yeah, gonna continue my development. All right, so there was some issue with auth god. So here we're getting an error. It says the user service user you can't pipe it. So let's see why. And that's basically not undefined because in the constructor we are defining that here. So if I look at the Git history, so if I say um, show history, and we can see what we have changed so far. So we had this user um, interface there, observable user, and then we had this user auth state pipe, and we had a switch map, and we were returning this. And same thing we're doing with our user service, and I'm not sure why it's not actually working. It's calling it undefined. Maybe that's just a difference here. So if I just leave that there, and let's open up a database there. So here we're gonna open up authentication as well. And I can see there is one user there. Okay, so now if now let's run our servers. We're gonna just say run and I want to run Ionic server. That's gonna run with an external command. If you are not sure how you actually run that externally, I'm gonna show you the package.json file. And here I've got this start script, which is using this external, also the host. Now, if I kill the application in emulator and start again, I should be able to read the application with this server. So any change I make in my code, it's going to reflect that there. So now I'm getting a bit of issue. Okay, let's go and inspect that again. And right now, I don't see that inspector actually working. All right, so let's close this inspector as well. Click on inspect. And now I don't see that here. If I refresh, now I can't see that there as well. So let me just refresh. I should be able to see the application there. Inspect. let's get rid of the emulator for now. Um, Mohit Kumar, hi mate, how are you? I have not personally worked on a LinkedIn or Instagram, so if you want to find an answer for that, I would probably recommend you to check out their guide. You'd probably be looking at, okay, uh, let's just say Instagram. Uh, I would say login API. I would say if probably go to Instagram documentation, and here in authentication, you might want to look at this bit if you can find a way to authenticate users via Instagram. I'm just gonna push this backwards. Okay, so now we don't see that user error at least. If I go to one thing I would like to do, guys, here is I want to basically I want to actually take a look at an extension. So if I go to extension page, I want to go to Chrome Web Store, and I want to install an extension called Vimium. I'm gonna add to this way. Okay, so that's good now. Now I can, what I can do now is I can press F, and I can see where what I want to click. So if I press F here, I say AD, probably here, F, and I can say A, and we'll click on that particular function. So there you go, we got this. So this is really, really a good way to actually utilize keyboard when you're doing a web development. When I click on account, let's just do a log out there. So we got our auth guard working. I'm going to do a breakpoint here, and I want to open up my debugger. And now let's say what happens. So if I refresh the page, I should be able to do a debug there. So you say you provided undefined where a stream was expected. You can provide an observable, promise array, blah. There's an error now. Ugh. Guess here is the problem. So if I open up this, side by side, I want to be able to look at the history, what I had here. That probably be the issue there. So if I go to Git and look at the history. So here I had this user and then this hot state pipe. So I'm just gonna copy this, and then paste that here in our user service. And let's see if that has changed something. Now we got the users undefined. Let's here we got the debugger, it says null, and it's gonna do basically the user was null, so it's gonna take us to this that error actually gone. So that's good. I have no idea what just happened. I had a similar kind of thing there in a user service. sure what happened here. Anyway, things seems to be working now. If I go login, it's gonna go to the auth code again, and now we have the user object there. So that's good. And if I just let it go, then it's gonna take me to the tabs page. Account, log out, and we just log out. If I refresh now I can see the user is null, and it's gonna take us to a login page. Okay, so our login registration is working. I'm gonna open up Chrome here. What next we want to do here is whenever a user create an account, I should be able to store that here. So first of all, in authentication, I'm going to delete this account. All right, so we got this account deleted. Now in our application now, if I click on login and I open debugger in the console, now we should be seeing an error with saying failed to load resources, so responding 404. That's okay. Let's do a bit of refresh here. And user is null, that's good. We have to click on the login. And now here it says failed to resource. So now we're getting an error here. So if I look at the console, it actually shows an error here. So it says auth, user not found. So there is no user record. So that's okay. I'm going to go to register page and I'm going to try creating a new user. But before I do that, I want to go to my register component. And here I would like to store this into a collection as well. So for that, to make it like a reusable, we're gonna use this user service. So we go to user collection, and here is a documentation, the way we can store stuff into user collection. So first of all, we're gonna create an observable for the items. We're gonna create a private collections, which will have this type, okay? And then we are going to have item collection. Yep, that's the function that we're going to be using. So let's do a user collection there. And that would be a type of Angular Firestore. So private user collection, Angular Firestore, and the type is going to be user interface. What's going on there? Item collection, Angular Firestore collection, and item. Okay. So let's just let it run. I'm gonna do a breakpoint there. Collection, and that would be user interface. It's good. And then we have this current user, which we can actually subscribe to. So if I go to outside the constructor function, I'm going to write a function called async. I'll say add user to collection. Okay, and that should take a user with user interface, and that returns pretty much promise void. That's how we don't have to define a type there. I'm going to do this dot. Actually, we can say, let's have a look in the documentation. We got access to our collection, and then we have this add item. We want to add an item for the user, so that's okay. So just close this bit. No, not this way, but we're going to set this dot user collection equal to this dot Firestore dot collection, and then it's going to take the path. The path we will need to do is whatever the path is. So we basically have that on the global. So we'll just do users. So just to show you guys, here is a collection. Okay, let me just refresh. In expense tracker, so we have a users as a collection, and then we're going to store that as a document. So we have access to user collection now. And then what we need to do is we're going to say this dot user collection dot add, and the data would be a user. And let's take a look what we can achieve from here. Now, when we create a user, we have in registration function says do register. So we're going to create a user with username password. Then we can return a promise. I'm going to do another then here, and that will take a response. And then we are going to create an object on the fly, which will have a type of this registration form. Now, the registration form has a name, email, password, and confirm password. But what we're looking for is this user interface. I'm going to open that on a side by side. Let's close this here. Let's just do a full screen now. So what we're looking at is user ID, an email, a photo URL, a phone number, a display name, email verified, and okay. So we got the name and email from there. So let's create a user. So we'll just do let user, and then we are going to use the type of as user interface, and that's the object. So first thing what we need is a display name. A display name would be a response dot display name. Now, because it's like a user credentials coming in, so we need to do a response dot user dot, and now we have this display name there. Then we need user ID, and then we got response dot user dot user ID there. There you go, UID. Okay. Then we got this email, which is going to be response dot user dot email. Now, to make it easier, what I should have done is actually we could say response to say x equal to response dot user, and the type can be, for example, what is the user credential type? Let's have a look. That's Firebase dot user. That's fine. I'm going to make that as type as Firebase dot user. That's going to be the type. We'll just do an input statement. If I directly use this, I think it should work. Okay, so now I think this should work. I'm going to just have a variable name u there. Oh, no. Okay, so now there's a problem here. It says display name string. Okay, it's missing properties yet. So let's continue. So next we need a verify email, which is going to be false for now. Next property, we're going to need a phone number. Now, in terms of form, we can actually have this phone number, which we can ask user to type it in. So we just do um, phone number. I'm going to create a new form control there, and the value is going to be empty for now. And then for the validators, we will just do validator dot and we probably have a pattern that probably we could find online to actually validate if it's a valid phone number. But for now, let's just not do. Let's just not make it compulsory for a phone number. Hmm. Validator dot. Yeah, no, I can't find a phone number pattern. So I'm gonna do here is no, that's fine. We don't need any validator for now on this one. Let's add a comma there, and we're gonna go to register component, and I'm going to actually close this, and then we're gonna need to add that form control. So here I've got this form control and password, and that's an email there. So I'm gonna create ion item, and for the lines, I'm gonna say full, and inside we're gonna create input. A placeholder would be phone number and form control name, not form array name, but form control name is going to be, let's see if there's any suggestion. So we do phone number. We can verify that there is a phone number there. Okay. Then we can set type as, what are the types available? So in HTML, we got, let's take a look at Ionic documentation there. So we go to Ionic documentation, and I'm gonna find ion.input. So the type AL, and then it says, okay, text, password, email, number, tel. Okay, we could probably use tel. So I'm gonna use tel as a, and then input mode. We're gonna have to find that out as well. So let's like look at this. There's a input mode. So input mode, that one. And here we have input mode is text, tel, URL, email, numeric. So that's like a keyboard type. It's gonna appear. So I'm gonna use tel there as well. So let's just do tel, and that should be it. That should be it. And yeah, let's verify in our application. So I'm gonna, let's just go to, let's close debugger, and then we're gonna go to register page, and there we got the phone number there. And there's no validator, but we still got that bit. Okay, things looking good. Now let's go and create a user. So I'm gonna say await email test. Actually, just use t1 at Gmail. Phone number, let's just say 123456778. A password, hello 123. Okay, before I press the register button, let's go to PyCharm, and what I would like to do here is make sure that I have that function which will basically store this user into the collection as well. So for the phone number, we are going to send that as well when we register. So for the phone number, we can say this dot register form dot controls dot, no, actually not controls, but we can actually get the value. Should be able to get the value. I've been using this for a long time, but still gotta go and look at the documentation every time I do something. This is just one of those things that you need to keep looking at. The way I can get that value, I don't know. If I say phone number. Okay, to say get raw value. All right, let me go and verify this for now. Let's just do, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be a string type, I guess. Now in anonymous, I'm gonna say false. Last thing is photo URL. We'll just say photo URL. Actually, this one is going to be coming from u dot is anonymous. Email verified. And then that would be photo the URL. I think the object looking good. So just to see if it's looking good, I'm actually going to paste that bit here. All right, and I'm gonna just do nah, not this one. I'm just going to grab this bit, cut it. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to in the constructor function. I'm just going to still it wouldn't work. It would not work. We need that bit there. Then we are going to grab the, I guess, user service. And then I'm going to say user service there. And then here in this, then I'm going to say this dot user service dot add user to collection. I'm going to pass in X. Okay. And that will return another promise there. Now, I don't really need to catch this promise. And I'm going to do something like return response. Okay. Now let's try to actually try the code. Let's see what happens. Let's go to register. I'm going to make sure I refresh, and I'm going to create a user here. Let's just say awais. Email would be awais@email. Phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I say hello 1, 2, hello 1, 2, 3, hello 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's do a bit of debugging here. I'm going to create some of the breakpoint. Go to this function, and I'm going to do a breakpoint there as well. Yeah, I think it's gonna work. Let's see. Now here, I'm gonna click on register. It will do some a breakpoint there. So where do we have a breakpoint? All right, so we got the breakpoint there. We got the registration done. As we can see, we got the user response. Then I'm gonna go and do let it run. Let it run. It goes to user, and now it actually finish the execution there. So there's a unhandled promise. Okay, it says await is like was missing, so we just do await there. Now it's a golden moment. We want to go and take a look at our Firebase if the user is there. Okay, so let's verify by clicking on this refresh button, and I can see awais@gmail.com is there. It's been created. But what I'm interested in this bit, if I could see the user's collection is being created and also the user is added. So I'm gonna do a refresh, finger crossed. Oh, nice. There you go, guys. So we got the users collection automatically created. We got this as a ID there, a document ID, and then we got this collection. As you can see in a Firebase, we got this bit now. So once a user registers, it's going to be added to this collection so I could see their data later. And one thing that I would like to do here is, here you can see the UUID for the user. I would like to actually have this UUID set as a document name. So the way we could probably do that is by looking at the documentation first. How do we gonna achieve this? So here in this bit, I can say when this collection's there, I can add that bit, and within the add function, I should be able to pass in some other optional values there as well. But now it's time for us to go and explore the documentation. So we're now gonna look at this authentication for now. We're gonna go to Cloud Firestore, and then I'm gonna go to getting started. Let's see what we have here in the test mode we are in right now. I'm gonna be selecting this web, and then db.firestore, adding data. So this is what we're looking at. So db.collections, we added a user, and then we got this reference to our document, and its ID there. Okay, and then cache. Okay, that's good. That's good. But what I'm interested in actually storing data with its that's fine. We're gonna go into the next step. So it says add data. Here we got the simple function where we can do the data. So we got db.collection.doc, and then here we can set its value. So it says to create or override a single document using set method. Nice. So this is what I need. So let's go back to our PyCharm, and I'm gonna go to do register function, and I would like to actually, not this one. We're gonna go to user service. Actually, I'm gonna just hijack this bit. So I'm going to create a user. So let's do, okay, let's start again. So we got this user, and then I'm gonna accept this UUID, which is going to be the string. And here I'm gonna use set method. So this dot user collection dot doc, and then part is going to be its UUID dot, and I'm going to say set a data is going to be user. Now let's do one thing. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the documentation, and I would like to get rid of this collection first. Let's get rid of this collection. All right, here we've got this users collection there. That's fine. And also I'm going to go here, and I'm going to get rid of this account as well. Now let's go to our code, and I'm going to do a breakpoint there. Let's log out, refresh, click on register, and then I'm going to type, let's just say, testing, I'll set test2 at Gmail, phone number 123456789. Actually change this. So it's a 987654321. A password is going to be hello123, hello123. And now it's time for us to click on register. And here we got some breakpoints and a couple of errors there, which we'll have to handle. Don't worry about this one, guys. Here we got this debugger. So I'm gonna go to actually move this a bit down so I could see where it's debugging. So here right now we user, let's run, and then we get to this tabs page, and here we got this problem now. So it says add user to collection. That was the problem there. So let's see what happens. We missed something. The user would be created, but if we look at the data, let me refresh, and there is no document there. So that's the problem. So I'm gonna get rid of this user again. Now we go to register component, and here I'm gonna pass in a user first of all, and u dot actually x dot uid. Now that should work. Let's go to register. I'm gonna register a paid user. Let's say abc at email. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Click on register. Let it go. Do a breakpoint there as well. So here I'm expecting a UUID to be created. What is the UUID? We got some UUID. Yep, that's the one. So I'm gonna let it go. Now it's going to have this user stored, and it's got the UUID there as well. There you go. That's the UUID and the user and placement. Okay, let's see. Let it go. Let's verify the user and then the collection. Let's refresh. All right, so we got this user collection, and I want to make sure that this UUID is as similar as this bit. Okay, so finally we got our login registration, and also I'm able to store the user data into the database as well. Obviously, the Firebase allows us to store data there as well. But you can also store into your collection as well. So for later, if you want to store some expenses. Now, I think this is going to be it for this live stream. I will be back in about a couple of hours to do another live streams in which I would like to actually add expenses into the database, so we could basically sync the data, and that would basically be really nice. Okay, thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you like it, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Cheers.